Hello world, Cossy here with part 2 of my Geek Movie News Comic Con special, starting off this part with the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, behind me there, that is the teaser poster for the Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot of the Spider-Man franchise, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. As I mentioned last week, there is a teaser trailer for the movie, and in the description box below, down there, is a link to that trailer, a good quality version of it. Go and have a look, see what you think, comment, let me know. Lizard as a villain, interesting. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. Next up, we've got The Wolverine, Wolverine 2. Now, Hugh Jackman has been talking again about this movie. He's confirmed that most of the film is going to be set and filmed in Japan, which is no surprise to most people. And the villain he's going to be facing is Silver Samurai. Also stated that they're trying to keep the costume for Silver Samurai as close to its comic book costume as they can, which is great because obviously a lot of the X-Men movies that have been made in the past have changed people's costumes, and the fans have always had a bit of a problem, me included, with that. So it looks like a positive sign, and hopefully, as I've said a couple of times, this completely ignores the first Wolverine movie, just like X-Men First Class did. Next up, for all you Superman fans, it's a sad time because the Superman Man of Steel, the reboot to the franchise, is being delayed. Originally meant to hit cinemas in December 2012, it will now be released in June the 14th of 2013. Now, Warner Brothers have come out and said that this is due to the fact that they don't want to release two big budget sort of blockbuster movies at the same time, because it would have dropped just a week before the first Hobbit movie. They don't want those two films competing against each other because obviously they'll lose revenue. So they've moved it to June the 14th of the next year, which is big budget movie season. It's the blockbuster summer season, and it's also sandwiched in between two important Marvel movies, Iron Man 3 and Thor 2. So maybe they're hoping to get a bit of rub off those two movies as well. Comic book movies are doing well recently, and hopefully this is going to be a good one and will make some money for Warner Brothers. Revitalise the franchise. Next up, we've got Voltron. Now, Voltron was a very famous 1980s anime, which was huge in America and in Europe, and it's now going to be made into a live-action film. It's being developed by Relativity Media and Atlas Entertainment. For those of you who don't know much about the franchise itself, it goes, storyline-wise, it's a group of 5 sort of soldiers. They're young warriors. They are protecting humanity. They pilot those things right there, which are like robot lions that join together to create this super weapon called Voltron. And yeah, it's huge. They've got a new TV series that's out in the States at the moment and will be released in Europe sometime in the autumn. The live-action movie is being written by Thomas Dean Donnelly, who wrote Conan the Barbarian, and Joshua Oppenheimer, who wrote Sahara. So yeah, we've got some names there who have worked on some big movies in the past, and we'll hopefully get a good version of this movie out there as soon as possible. Next up, something that maybe a lot of people have not come across before. This is called Lenore, not the fabric softener, the graphic novel, and it's going to be made into a movie, a CGI animated movie. The original guy who created Lenore, Roman Dirge, is apparently completely involved with the project. Now, whether that means he's going to direct and write the project like Todd McFarlane is apparently going to do with the new Spawn movie, I'm not sure, but that has been announced that he will be completely involved in all the processes to do with this movie. And Neil Gaiman of Sandman fame is going to be executive producer. So some big names involved with this project. Basically, for those of you who don't know, Lenore the Little Dead Girl is based on the poem of the same name by Edgar Allan Poe. The series has a lot of characters, places and themes from some of Poe's other work. And in the early 2000s, Sony Animation made some web cartoons of this series. So if you haven't seen anything to do with this before or read them, go and have a look at those. You should be able to get them online, get a taste of what this series is about. Next up, another series that you might not have heard of called Shrapnel. Now this has been picked up by Hilary Swank, who's set to produce and star in the movie, and it's an adaptation of Radical Publishing's science fiction comic of the same name, which follows the title character called Sam, who in the year 2250 leads a revolution. She's a former Solar Alliance Marine. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that look a bit familiar? Anyone who's played 40k, doesn't that look like power armour and a bolt gun? Just throwing that out there, but yeah, that's what I think when I see it. Basically, she leads a revolution against the government on Venus, which is a colony of Earth, obviously, and yeah, that's the basic outline. It's being written by Toby Wagstaff and produced by the president of Radical Studios, Barry Levine. So it's also being produced by Swank, as I mentioned earlier. So we're going to see this soon. Hilary Swank starring and producing an sci-fi epic space marine type adventure before a 40k movie. Unlucky Games Workshop. Next up, we've got Mockingbird. Now, people may be wondering what's going to happen with characters like Mockingbird, but she won't be heading to the big screen. She's getting her own TV series. Jeff Loeb came out recently and was talking about some of the Marvel TV shows he's involved. He's the head of the TV division for Marvel, and as well as this new announcement for Mockingbird, he was also talked a bit about Hulk, Cloak and Dagger, and AKA Jessica Jones. So, speaking of Mockingbird, he says, I'm just going to read this quick quote from Jeff Loeb, that Bobby Morse, who is Mockingbird, is going to be portrayed as a sort of Peter Parker style nerd, and she gets recruited by a secret agency as a spy. Now in the comic books that's S.H.I.E.L.D. I'd like to see that go in the television show as well, so that we can have some cross-continuity between TV universe and the movie universe. Plus, as you can see there, she's with Clint Barton, who's Hawkeye. He's going to be in the Avengers movie and is a husband in the comic books, so maybe we can get even more close link between the franchises that are going to be on ABC and the franchises that are going to hit the big screen. Loeb also spoke about AKA Jessica Jones, which is going to be one of the first TV shows to hit ABC, and mentioned that it's going to be closely following the storylines that were set about in the comic book Alias, which it's based on, which is written by Brian Michael Bendis, and that also Luke Cage and Carol Danvers are both going to be in this show. Now, for those of you who don't know, Luke Cage is Power Man, Carol Danvers is Miss Marvel. Does this mean that we're not getting that Power Man movie that people have been asking about? Because yeah, I'd really like to see that movie. There's quite a few black actors who I think would be really good in that role, especially the guy who did the Old Spice commercials, he's done a couple of skits for Marvel officially as Luke Cage. He would be perfect. If you do make it a TV series, put him in the role, and then maybe we'll end up getting a decent Power Man in a future Avengers film. Who knows? It's all early stages yet, but yeah, Mockingbird heading to TV. Next up, Night of Badassdom. This is a comedy movie. The first trailer for this movie has been put online recently, and it's going to be down in that description box below. Go and have a look. For those of you who don't know much about it, it's a comedy action film about a group of LARPers, and LARPers are people who do live action role play. If you've seen a couple of films recently, have made sort of a note to it. It's basically like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but dressing up as the characters out and going and role playing it outside. Basically, they summon a demon, and then they have to try and destroy it. Like accidentally summon a demon. So that's the basic plot. If you're not thinking this sounds good, Summer Glau's in it. I know for a lot of people that will be something that will make them want to go and see this movie. Yeah, Summer Glau, she's hot. And finally, The Darkness is going to be made into a movie. Now, a lot of people may remember that this was a comic from Top Cow that was made into a video game a couple of years back. The second video game in this franchise is due to be released soon, and it's going to be produced into an R-rated, very dark, very gory, very gritty movie as well, apparently. Now, if you don't know much about the franchise, then what it's about is there is a mobster named Jackie Estacado, and he discovers that he has inherited a murderous power known as the Darkness that allows him to summon creatures from another reality. And he has to deal with the fact he has this power, what he's going to use it for, and also seek revenge against people who've done him wrong. So that's the basic outline. Apparently the movie will be picking up at the very start as an origin story about how he gets the powers, how he deals with it, what he does with it. So very similar to the first video game that came about from the comic book. And as I say, Mark Silvestri, who's the head of Top Cow, has said that this will be an R-rated movie. It's not going to be a PG-13. It's going to be gory. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be like the comic books, and that can only be a good thing. So it's coming our way at some point in the future, The Darkness. So that's all for part 2. If you've missed part 1, then I'm going to click up a little link here so you can go and watch the first part of this Geek Movie News. Obviously, as always, if you like this, literally go and click on that like button down there. It loves it when you click on it. Comment, subscribe, throw this on all your social networking sites, send it to your friends, and as I said in part 1, I now have a Facebook fan page. I will throw the link down there as well in the description box. Go and click on it and join it. Until next time, guys, au revoir.